And for those of you who were there, let me ask, for those who were there, please stand up. Everybody who was there, please stand up. All right, give yourselves a hand clap. And part of what Reverend Wilson has planned is to make sure that we have an opportunity to document those memories. Because this is, a publisher, The Informer, documenting history. We are the history storytellers, but you are the ones with the stories. And we want to make sure that we get a chance to capture those stories as we go on to celebrate the 40th, the 50th, the 100th anniversary of the Million Man March. And you all are the history keepers. It's in your head, it's in your spirit. You were there, and we cannot let that moment pass us. So I don't want to take too long. We're supposed to be out of here within the hour. We have several speakers, and we're going to start, of course, with the leader of this great church, the visionary for this event, and the person who is making sure that we stay on track. So it's my pleasure to bring to the microphone Reverend Willie Wilson.
Thank you. Let me give honor to God first for this opportunity, and to the pastor of this church, my daughter, who has taken over the leadership of this church and is doing a great job. She's traveling quite extensively, unable to be here today this morning, but I want to certainly honor her. And also, first and foremost, the spirit of the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who in 1995 sounded the call. And then from there, he, and in many instances, I myself, went across this country. And my job in working with the religious community, I met with more religious leaders and pastors than I can count all across this nation, pulling us together. I think one of the most significant things, as I talked to the minister just the other day about this event, was a gathering that was at Howard University at Rankin Chapel. The dean of the chapel allowed us to have a meeting there where there was an assemblage of clergy and pastors from every denomination that you could name. And when we were talking just the other day, the love, the unity, togetherness that came out of that reflected the spirit of these two iconic legacies that we are bringing together for this celebration, and for what we hope will be the igniting of the same spirit, the same unity, the same love that was engendered at both of these iconic legacies, i.e. the Million Man March and UniFest, which was held right here in this community. So as I talk today, what we are doing, and of course it is a coalition. Dr. Dorothy Height said to me when we were doing the Million Man March, and of course many of you know Dr. Height participated in every gathering, from the sleeping car porters all the way to the Million Man March. She said to me, as did Malcolm X when he made that famous speech at the King Solomon Baptist Church in Detroit, where he talked about the different groups and how they came together, and that they didn't come together based on being Muslim or Christian or any other sort, but came together about a common cause, and that is the freedom, the liberation, and the justice for our people. It is in that spirit that we come on today. I want to begin my statement by referencing a statement that was made by Dr. George Frazier. Many of you know about him and the great research that he does and has done over the years. He issued an alarming speech titled, "Wake Up Call: Why the Black Family," and I will add to that, the black community, must be restored. In that speech, he noted that the number one challenge facing the black community is the existential crisis of the black family. And when we say black family, we say that in a collective sense, not just the nuclear family, but our collective black family. He stated that the two-parent household in the black community is down to 34%, and that no culture in the history of mankind has risen to maximum human potential without family as the center of their culture. This existential crisis of the family only exists among black people in America, not in the diaspora, not on the continent, not on any other place except right here in the United States among black people in America. So the question we must ask is what happened to the black family and what must be done to restore the black family, and I say that the black family collective, so that the black community can reclaim the power it once had as a community. What happened to the black family? I contend that over the last several decades, the black family and the black community have been devastated by the scourges of the crack cocaine epidemic and mass incarceration, both of which have destroyed many black families and many black communities and diminished faith in each other and in the deep sense of community the black community once had. Incarceration ballooned from 300,000 to 2.3 million, which I mentioned yesterday on WBFW radio, with 2/3 of it being black people and people of color. Arrests and convictions, sentencing rates, devastated black families and communities all over America. So what we are experiencing now is the repercussions and the results of mass incarceration and the cocaine epidemic. What we see with our young brothers and in some instances young sisters out in the street shooting and killing each other is a direct result of the destruction, the demise, and the diminishing of black family and black community, which was not of our own doing, but was created by the external forces. In that regard, I cite a statement by John Ehrlichman, former advisor, and all of us know about this now when we have read about the impact of mass incarceration on our community and on our people. Ehrlichman was the advisor to President Nixon. And in a statement in 1994, he asked, "You want to know what the war on drugs was really about? We in the White House had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people, young black males. By getting the public to associate blacks with drugs and then criminalizing them, we could arrest them and vilify them night after night in the evening news." Did we know what we were doing? Of course we did. We were lying about drugs in order to criminalize young black males in America. According to the Psychological Review, and this is what I want to say, and this is how important these legacies of both of these two iconic events, which both emphasized community and unity and exhibited a strong sense of love among our people, right here in Anacostia where we had UniFest all those years that we had it. Not a single incident, just our people in harmony and in love and enjoying each other and working together. Likewise with the Million Man March, almost 2 million black men coming together without a single incident. It is that spirit of unity, that spirit where we put aside our individual differences in atonement, in reconciliation, and in collective responsibility, that we can bring about the kind of change that we need to see in our community. I was about to state that according to the Psychological Review, which is a journal that is written by scholars who are historians and academics and psychologists, in their study, they showed, which is done and published by Columbia University, all of these contributors are high-level scholars in the field of psychology and history. They indicated that black-on-black homicide took a long-term decline from the 1990s to 2015. These scholars combined historical and psychoanalytic methodologies to understand the problem of black-on-black crime. They explored conscious and unconscious motivations of groups throughout history and drew on historical content and psychological theories to conclude that black power movement, black unity, community unity and development in our community, which all engendered and created racial pride among our people and in our community, served as, and I quote, an antidote to black homicidal violence. The statistical data showed that after the Black Power movement, significant reductions in homicide occurred in black-on-black homicide. This nonpartisan research was augmented by the Council on Criminal Justice, which gives an amazing picture of the ebb and flow of black-on-black homicide. It articulated that previously when the black family was strong and the black community was strong and there was unity in the black community, the homicide rate was 42 persons per 100,000 people. Integration came and the results became a fragmentation of the black community where the rate of homicide swelled in 1970 to 78 homicides per 100,000. But after racial and community pride increased, following the black consciousness and black power movements, from 1980 to 2000, the rate varied between 35 per 100,000 homicides, that is, black on black, and 54 homicides per 100,000. What we must do, one thing we must realize is that an internal problem cannot be solved with external remedies. Military occupation of our city and other cities, as has been announced, cannot and will not solve the crime problem and the homicide rate in our community. The military occupation of the nation's capital and making arrests alone will only add to locking up our young people, ongoing demise and destruction of the black family and the black community. So then it is for us, as we talk about these two iconic events, that in October we have a series of activities, and before the day is over, we are distributing and will make available packets of information, rack cards, flyers that highlight all the many activities that will be taking place from September through October the 18th. I will say at the top of that is the long-standing historical spiritual foundation of our people. It is the spirituality of our people that must be at the very core of all that we are doing, so that we begin on September the 22nd, September 22nd, September 29th, October 6th, and October 13th. We have a prayer line that has a capacity of 1,000 persons. Brother Minister Kadir Muhammad, who will speak shortly, is coordinating that piece. On those mornings at 7 a.m., we will have, and might I say that we have, this is a regional effort. Baltimore is working with us on this, Annapolis, Prince George's County, and the District of Columbia. And so persons will be able to call in. All of that information is on the information that will be distributed and disseminated for people to call in the morning. There will be prayer leaders who will lead that prayer. After that prayer, we will allow 15 minutes for persons across this DMV and regional area to offer 1-minute prayers to start our week as we go into the final 2 weeks of what will take place in October. On October the 13th, which is known today as Indigenous American Day, we have solicited support of the Piscataway Indian Nation. And on that day, we will do an official kickoff of the activities which will take place in October. And we're doing all of this right in the heart of the community. We didn't want to go down to the mall. We wanted to take it right into the community among our people at a time when hope, when faith, when unity and a sense of community has dissipated to a level that we want to raise. And that's the objective of all of this. So that on October the 13th, that which is a Monday, which is a holiday, formerly known as Columbus Day, there will be a torch run. And that torch run will be here in Anacostia to highlight the great history of this neighborhood and of this community. It will start with those who don't know the history should know that the Anacostine Indians, from which we get the word Anacostia, were inhabitants of this neighborhood before anybody else came. And so what is now Marion Barry Avenue was part of the Anacostia River that flowed right through. So all these buildings that you see to the left of Marion Barry Avenue were part of the Anacostine Indian neighborhood. And so the Piscataway Indians will do a prayer ritual at the corner of Marion Barry Avenue and Martin Luther King Avenue to kick off the torch run. Various organizations are involved. The Divine Nine, our fraternities and sororities, and might I say the criticalness of our situation dictates that this not be just a gathering of men. We will have our men and our women. Truth be told, you know, many women supported and participated in the Million Man March in 1995. But because of the criticalness of our situation, we need to bring all of our people together. We have arranged, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but on that big day on the 18th, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's challenge and charge and pledge that was made in 1995 will be piped through the sound system, where he will give that same charge to all of our men. We have asked a mother to give a charge to parents, knowing the splintering of our families with many single-family, female-headed households. We will have a charge to our parents, and there will be a charge to our youth. There will be speakers from various areas of our community in the PGC, in county, D.C., Baltimore, and Annapolis, interspersed with a little bit of entertainment. We intend to have music. We want to give a mini UniFest along with, one of the things we want to do, as some of you may or may not know, that come December 31, almost 28,000 people in this city will lose Medicaid. We will have information disseminated to share with our brothers and sisters so that they can take advantage of whatever they need to get done before December 31st. And we have individuals along with the agency that's working on some other remedies to the situation that we will hopefully be able to unfold. But it's all about community. I was about to say that torch run is taking place. Various organizations will participate in that torch run. It will go from Marion Barry, Martin Luther King Avenue to Barry Farms, one of the most historic communities, black communities, in the history of black America. If you don't know that history, you should know that just released former slaves were living in the mud in the alleys of 17th and 18th Street Northwest. Through the Freedmen's Bureau, were given money to trudge over the 11th Street Bridge to Anacostia by the light of the moon and by their lanterns and by their candlelight, constructed that historical Barry Farms community, out of which came the NOW organization, the most powerful welfare rights organization, out of which came former slaves who stole away on a ship and were able to gain their freedom and who lived in Barry Farms, and the list goes on about that great community. The torch run will go there. It will then go to, as we highlight the great history of Anacostia, it will go to the Anacostia Community Museum, which is under peril of being wiped out right now, even as I speak, where so much was done to record our history. It was from a manual that was created by Reverend Dr. John Kennard and others who led that Anacostia Community Museum that shows a lithograph of the Native American community as it existed before colonization took place in this country. Then we go on October 16th, the Baltimore LOC, which has been in existence for 29 years. They kept moving, they kept going to keep alive the local organizing committee of the Million Man March. They will have, as they have for the last 29 years, a prayer breakfast for the Million Man March. Some of us will be going over to Baltimore for that. And then coming back, there will be a lantern walk across the 11th Street Bridge. And you will have all of this in the printed materials that you will receive. Again, to highlight that walk by those slaves across that bridge in 1865, again highlighting the great history of Anacostia. After that, then, will be a gathering right here in this sanctuary from 7 to 9 p.m. Part of that, you should know, as many of you do, we got two generations who were not even alive when we did the Million Man March. There were many stories of great things that took place. For example, with UniFest, there's one family in this neighborhood who planned their family reunion every year so that it would be in Washington, D.C., rather than traveling to other cities as they would often do, so that they could be here to experience the spirit of unity, of togetherness. Others will talk about incidents that took place that are relevant, that will give people a sense of the spirit. We have been showing the movie by Spike Lee, Get on the Bus, for succeeding generations to look at, because that movie by Spike Lee captured much of the spirit that existed in 1995 that we want to recover in 2025. Then we will have the movie, The True Story of the Million Man March, that will be shown, that was done by some of the brothers and sisters of the Nation of Islam. We will have a little bit of music and generally just a spiritual rally coming together. Some of you may remember on the night before the Million Man March at the Washington Convention Center, Union Temple sponsored just such a gathering. We had national individual stars and what have you from all over the nation who came. On this local level, we want to have a spiritual rally based upon atonement. You know, let me just say this. It's one thing to talk about atonement and reconciliation and coming together. It's another thing to practice it and live it so that it comes alive among the people. So it is my prayer and the prayer of all of us who are working on this, that a legitimate effort will be made. Whatever the beefs are, whatever the contentions are, that we find a bigger heart for a bigger picture. And that is the unification of our people. Because ain't nobody coming to save us, y'all. We're going to either do it or it ain't going to be done. I think we ought to know that by now. And so it is with that we will be coming together. And then, of course, as I said, the big day on the 18th, I forgot the day of fasting and prayer on October the 17th. All that day, we're asking people to, and what are you praying about? You're praying about redemption. You're praying about atonement. And some of us have some people we need to practice some atonement with and some reconciliation with. So that, when you look at the scriptures in 1 Corinthians 13, it kind of lets you know what shows when you are really somebody in the sight of God. 1 Corinthians 13 says, when you really love, you have no envy, you have no jealousy, you have no worries about who can get the credit, because we can do anything if we don't get hung up on who's going to get the credit. And above all, long suffering, which means you got to take some stuff. You got to be able to overcome whatever those things are that have gotten in the way of us being one in unity. Because if I tell you those words, atonement, reconciliation, how are we going to be redeemed? Except we have enough long suffering to say, I'm not going to let this one thing or that one thing stop me from being together with my brothers and sisters to free us and liberate us from the psychological and the spiritual chains of slavery that have so long kept us enslaved. With that in mind, give God a hand for what God is doing. I want to say several words before our speakers come, and I want to say that those words we want to redound: reclamation, redemption, restoration, atonement, collective responsibility. We got some great brothers and sisters, just a sampling of the many organizations and groups that have already signed on to be a part of this great effort.
Let's salute Reverend Wilson with a round of applause. One for his vision, two for his message. That's why we're here today. And I have to say that for the man that married my husband and me 40 years ago, I'm so glad that he poured that into our family when it comes to family and spirit. So thank you, Reverend Wilson. Two things I want to do, just housekeeping really quick. First, all the members of the committee who've been working on this, and I'm going to tell you, the committee is not defined. It's whoever shows up. But at any rate, for those who have been showing up on the committee, let's recognize you first. Would you please stand that are pulling this together? And for those of you all who are in the room, if you find that it looks like there's some space for you, there's some space for you, okay? Secondly, I always, as a member of the press, I always got to thank the press for showing up because they didn't have to be here today. So I do want to recognize Washington Informer first, Channel 7, and Channel 9. Thank you all for being here today. And hopefully for following this, that we have a great celebration at the end. We, as Reverend Wilson said, this is a DMV celebration. But know that there are activities that are taking place around the country. And we're going to be tied into some of those events through our other brother and friend, Reverend Mark Thompson. So I'd love for him to come forward now, and then I'll go through the list of the speakers. There's some speakers. Let's hope we can keep our remarks brief. We want to be out of here by 12:15, but I'll come back and give those that list of speakers.
God bless you all and good morning. Thank you, Denise. Let's hear it again for Reverend Willie Wilson, and also giving honor and respect to the shepherd of this house, Pastor Anika Wilson Brown. This branch of Zion, Union Temple Baptist Church, and most certainly this branch of Black liberation theology. Dr. King said in 1955, when the history books are written in the future, somebody will have to say there lived a great people of Black people who injected new meaning and dignity into the vein of civilization. We will say that about Union Temple here in Washington. There lived here a great people of Black people educating, organizing, and mobilizing other Black peoples who injected new meaning and dignity into this vein of civilization. As a matter of fact, it was October also of 1992, where we came in here and locked down and then woke up the next morning, October 10th, and shut down the 14th Street Bridge 3 years before the Million Man March, demanding that the concerns of Black men and what we wanted to do on behalf of our families and communities be heard. So again, lift up your hands in thanks for Union Temple, for Reverend Willie Wilson, and want to congratulate him on what he's laid out. I am simply here to share that several months ago I also spoke with the minister and asked his permission and blessing to do something. Didn't know what it was going to be yet, to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March. And so what I'm here to share, after speaking with him, one of the things he said was, he said, Brother Matsamela, the town halls and the men's meetings we had were just as important as the march itself. And so with that blessing, we have been convening over the past few weeks several men, several groups in different cities to also have local commemorations, because most of the struggles we are dealing with are local. All of these things are connected, but yet there are specific things that we are facing locally. It's good to be home in D.C., but not good to be home in an occupied D.C. that is still colonized. But there are things that must be addressed. And so while Reverend Wilson is organizing, and all of you are organizing here at home in the DMV, I just came by to announce separately but collaboratively, we are expecting, and there are plans to organize events in cities big and small: New York, Atlanta, Newark, Jackson, Mississippi, Los Angeles, Seattle, Detroit, even smaller places like Peekskill, New York. Waterloo, Iowa wants to organize something. Akron, Ohio is planning to organize, and even way down in Lubbock, Texas. And then in a Pan-African context, we heard from some brothers who want to organize a 30th anniversary Million Man March event as far away as Nairobi, Kenya. Saying all that to say, and to follow up on what Reverend Wilson shared, 30 years ago, Brother Minister Kadir, we took a pledge for atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility towards ourselves, our communities, our families. But now we are targeted for disinformation as Black men more than any other group. Billions of dollars are spent. The algorithms are spent targeting us in that way. And so we want to be sure that we don't neglect our responsibility. We're being turned against ourselves again. We want to come back to one another. So I thank you all for letting me come early and say these few words. Some of you know I'm back in school. I've got to get back to school for my first meeting of my Psychology of Christian Nationalism class, so I don't get in trouble. But I want to thank Reverend Wilson for allowing me to come and to share. Looking forward. And last thing I'll say, many of the cities are going to be organizing early in that week. Some have already said, we're going to organize so then we can come to D.C. and join Reverend Wilson in Washington, D.C. I thank you. Long live the spirit of the Million Man March. Amen.
right, so we're going to have other speakers. One thing that Reverend Wilson did not mention, and so I'll bring up Reverend George Gilbert first, is going to be our day of prayer, where all the churches, we're asking all the churches in the DMV to set that day aside as a Million Man March Sunday. So he'll speak to that. Following Reverend Gilbert will be Minister Kadir, of the Nation of Islam, Mosque number 4. I hope you remember your order. Following him will be Cora Masters Barry. I don't know if she knows she's speaking, but she's here, so now she knows she's speaking. Dr. Morning of the Prince George's Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Dion Reeder, Far Southeast Strengthening Collaborative, Lamont Mitchell of ACC, and Ron Moten, Don't Mute DC. So in that order, could you all please come to the mic? Thank you.
Good morning to Dr. Wilson, to my fellow sufferers for the sake of the Savior. We looked 30 years ago, and there was trepidation throughout the black church that pastors were afraid to stand with Muslims. Black church leaders were afraid to stand and to deal with the issue of whiteness and to deal with a black Jesus. And so it is my job, representing the Progressive National Baptist Convention, as well as black Baptists in the city, in the DMV, that we won't have that issue 30 years in commemorating this great movement. We are in survival mode. And if you can't find a reason to support each other today, you won't find one ever. We are targeted. Our city is targeted. Black folk are targeted. The least, the lost, the left out are targeted. And this time next year, there won't be SNAP. There won't be help for our seniors. And we have to decide to bring resources into our community, and the only way that we do that is through the spiritual components of our community. We've done it before, and we're going to do it again. God bless you.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we thank Him for His coming to us, intervening in our affairs. We thank Him for giving to us one that has given us this courage today to make us go further with His presence that He brought to us. And that one, of course, is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Again, today we have our brother who's on the front line still standing. And his great name, you do know him to be the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I send you his love and his greetings from him and his wife, Mother Khadija Farrakhan, of Assalamu alaikum. Reverend Wilson asked me to say a one-line statement of support that I should do. We as brothers and sisters of the Nation of Islam, we thank God for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and for the Million Man March. A generation has passed and the enemy did not want the children to remember the Million Man March and act on the principles of that momentous day, October 16, 1995. We are grateful. We should all be grateful. So therefore, we must always remember the universal principles, Mr. Farrakhan said to me, and adopt these universal principles of atonement, reconciliation, and a responsibility. So in my closing remarks, we also thank, again, Reverend Wilson for planning this crucial part and the work he has done and is doing. Long live the spirit of the Million Man March. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon or morning. It's good to be here, see a lot of people, spent a lot of time down through the years in this sanctuary in that very seat with my husband. So thank you for bringing us all back together. There's a lot of things that I could say about the Million Man March and what we're doing. I've said them to Reverend Wilson. I will start by saying, because I got here late and so I don't know what all was said, if there wasn't for Marion Barry, there would not have been a Million Man March. So we should start with that. We should start with January '95 when the minister came to his office and said to the mayor, I'd like to do the Million Man March, et cetera, et cetera. And as the minister said at my husband's gravesite a couple of years ago, if you remember Brother Kadir, Minister Kadir, the minister said, the mayor agreed, and then Mrs. Berry went to work. And that's what happened. Yes, there were women who supported the Million Man March, but there were also women who helped lead it. Up in that room, putting programs together for the Million Man March. And if you watched the Million Man March, you would see a woman with a headphone who was calling the march, and that was Dr. Barbara Skinner. So to be back with my brothers and to look up there and see Dr. Height, who convened the women at the National Council and said we got to support the brothers in the Million Man March. There was a lot of powerful women around that table, maybe 10 of us. And we had let our feelings be known to the minister. He had, that's before emails and stuff. He had faxed us his mission statement. This is a true story. We sat around and we marked up that mission statement like we was in college. And we said, well, by the time he gets this, he'll be done with the women for the Million Man March. He sent it back and said, well done, my sisters. And that's when we knew he was serious. But then the thing that a lot of people don't know is that they say the Day of Atonement, and it was Barbara Skinner who added, and reconciliation. So I just want you to know that when we make full circle, there's never a time in our history since then that we don't need this right now. To bring us to go over that history, to have Ron Moden always remind us in Anacostia what happened about the march over the bridge and keep us alive in the history of our community, and to have Reverend Wilson always take us back to our roots. I remember when I joined this church for one reason. Reverend Wilson talked to us about God, about our responsibilities in our community, and our pride as being black people. That shaped my worldview. So as I go down the journey with the Southeast Tennyson Learning Center, Black Women Roundtable, and doing all the things we do, I owe a lot of that to my grounding when I came into public life with the Million Man March at Union Temple with Reverend Wilson, and of course the baddest brother that ever walked the face of the earth, Marion Barry. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Josephine Morning. I am the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, also known as the SCLC for Prince George's County. I want to also explain what the SCLC is because some of our young people may not know, but it's the organization that was started by Dr. Martin Luther King and others that actually brought about the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. And I just come here today to say I want to thank you, Reverend Wilson, and everyone else for including us as a part of this celebration, commemoration. Our national chapter and the Prince George's County chapter. We are so honored to be a part of this auspicious and just historical commemoration, and we look forward to working together with everyone, as we said, unity. So long live the Million Man March. Thank you.
I think it's afternoon now. Good afternoon. My name is Dion Bussey Reeder, and I serve as a servant leader for the Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative. And I'm just equally excited to be here like everyone else. I tell people when Pastor Wilson called, you show up. And I'm here as a result of that. This year does mark the 30-year anniversary, and we've heard that, but it's more for me as we serve family, as a celebration that has carried the spirit of unity and joy for our families. I am a fourth generation Washingtonian, but I grew up uptown. But if you know anything about this city, you know about the UniFest. And we would travel across the waters to get over here to be a part of the UniFest. So it actually, in this time that we're in today, that we're actually experiencing, and I'm gonna call it out what it is, an oppressed militant takeover. When our families are in crisis and struggling to find peace and amend the circumstances, UniFest stands as a vital reminder that we need joy. We need unity, and we need an uprising of faith. From the earlier days of Union Temple, I am a student of political science and history, so I studied Pastor Wilson, and this church changed when he became the pastor here. In 1973, he became a different type of minister, a beacon of strength, cultural pride, and a liberation theologian. This church has modeled that behavior, giving love and purpose, and giving this community pride and a sense of unity. And that's the reason why Far Southeast is behind this movement. We're here because in the day and time that we're in, I would be remiss if we did not join this force to pull our families together. It's important in the midst of all that's going on where our families are feeling economically imbalanced, unable to find opportunities to care for themselves and their families. Young men are being pulled apart from their communities, trying to serve, trying to give. Families are being ripped aside, ripped apart. Now more than ever, we need unity. Now more than ever, we need to see men in strategic places to uplift our families. So why not now? So Far Southeast, and as a servant leader of this organization, not only are we supporting, we're asking all other organizations that serve families in this community to take the lead and join forces with the Union Temple and its leadership. I will be remiss if I did not thank my board member, who's also the pastor of this house, Dr. Pastor Anika Wilson Brown, who's also our leader and also gives me the ability to stand forth and say, not only will all 60 of our staff people be behind this movement, but every family we serve will be as well. Thank you for the opportunity to join.
Good afternoon. I'm Lamont Mitchell, and I go back, way back, like Cadillac seats. And I first got to East of the River, it was 48 years ago, this year, 48. And I know how long it's been because I marked my involvement in East of the River and Union Temple with Khalil's birth, 1 month from my son's birth, and both Mary and my wife was pregnant. So we go back a long way. And now I serve as chairman of the board of Anacostia Coordinating Council, and we certainly support the efforts here. I remember the Million Man March like I remember probably the birth of my child, because I celebrated the Million Man March. It was my birthday, and I was 40 years old, and I celebrated with 2 million black strong men, and it was an amazing event. But I want to say that, of course, we at Anacostia Coordinating Council, with the Executive Director, Philip Pennell, who, anybody know Phil, there's a lot of stuff going on there, but we support the effort of this program and what we have here. But I also want to call out the people who worked so hard on this event 30 years ago. Vernon, the staff of ACC, Reverend Wilson, many, many nights of tireless effort to get this program through. UniFest was started back at the old church, and all the work that was put in there, and Vernon was there again, and any other men, Tyrone Parker, and all of the men that were involved with the process, I salute you as well, and look forward to working with you and Union Temple and Rep. Pastor Wilson on making this celebration of the 30th year of the Million Man March a success. Thank you.
Let's give Reverend Willie Wilson and everybody who had something to do with the Million Man March a round of applause. When I think about the 30-year anniversary of the Million Man March, it takes me back to October of 1994 when I came home from prison. Before then, I came home 4 or 5 previous times. In D.C. at that time, if you had money, as long as you didn't catch a federal case, you got Kenneth Mundy or any type of lawyer like that, you were right back on the street. So I thought it was a joke, but they finally set me down. And when I came home this time, it was an organization by the name of Ceasefire Don't Smoke the Brothers and Sisters. And that was around the conception and the idea of when the Million Man March was being conceptualized. And the blessing that I had from that was, as a young man, finding my way, learning how to use all the talent I had the right way instead of the wrong way, I got to see people say that the Million Man March wasn't going to happen. They were doubting it. They were saying black people weren't going to come together. Christians and Muslims couldn't work together, men and women. The women wouldn't get behind the men, this, that, and the other. And I'll never forget when we were leading the youth, and I was chosen to be one of the spokespersons as a youth organizer. In fact, I'll never forget the youth magazine, the drummer, what was it called? The Daily Drummer, whatever. It was a magazine that was very popular back then, and I was one of the youth leaders that they projected to be a leader in the future. And it was because I had the platform that Al Malik gave me with Ceasefire Don't Smoke the Brothers and Sisters. And I would go around the country, well, this area anyway, talking at Howard University with Minister Farrakhan. I would go and sit down and have lunch with Stokely Carmichael. I would walk into Marion Barry's office and meet people like Winnie Mandela. And it gave me the motivation and the strength and the determination to do whatever I wanted to do in life, because the day of the Million Man March, I remember we were down there selling T-shirts. And they was talking about it was going to rain, it was cloudy. And I saw the drum. The drummers came to do the libation. And after the libation, I saw the sky open up. And from that day on, nobody has been able to tell Ronald Moulton what he can't do. A lot of times people are like, who is this guy? And why doesn't he let the haters stop him? Why doesn't he let people stop from doing what he tries to do? You can't stop me, because I've seen God work. And I've been a part of his work. Not perfect, I'm not a perfect brother, but I've been a part of God's work and was blessed as a young man to see his work firsthand. So my challenge is, how do we get other young people to see his work firsthand, bringing thousands of people to historic Anacostia, one of the last places that have not been gentrified in Washington, D.C. I grew up in Petworth, and when I go there, every time I go there, I cry, because all my memories have been erased. But we live right here in historic Anacostia, which is still a black renaissance that has over 100 black businesses. And we have an opportunity to wrap our arms around Anacostia, to wrap our arms around Deanwood, and to wrap our arms around other parts of our city and our nation where we still have control over. So that's why this is so important to me, that we can come together with our people and any other people who love our people, right? Not on their terms, but our terms. So what I'm saying is, it's time for us all to come together and make this week, this month leading up to the Million Man March, something that the world will remember and say was a spark. that brought about the change that we know we can be. Thank you.
I've been to church this morning, you all, and I'm inspired and so grateful that we've come together as a community. I loved everything that everybody said. I get emotional these days, I'm sorry. But anyway, we said we were going to stop at 12:15, but we cannot stop unless we give some of you in the audience, if you have a question, please make it a question. If you have a question, we'd like to hear from you. Anybody in the audience that has a question? Sister
Yes,
Brenda
sir.
has it.
Stand up, state your name and affiliation, and one question, one response.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Oye Wolewa, U.S. Representative, Washington, D.C., Ward 8 resident. What role do young people have in this movement?
What role do young people have?
A very significant role. We want to involve our young people. As I said earlier, many of our young people were not aware when we did this and are not aware of the spirit that we had. One of the things that we attempted to do, some of the young people are going to participate in the torch run. When we originally talked about showing the movie Get on the Bus by Spike Lee, we wanted to have an essay contest in the schools and have young people to write about what they saw or felt or experienced in watching that movie and use that as identifying the ones that would be the winners of that contest to be one of our speakers on the day of October the 18th. There's so many things, and let me say this cannot be a one-shot, opportunity. We have some after-event plans, for example, at a time when they are trying to erase our history. We want to organize so that our history can be taught in our churches and among our community organizations. And in those instances where we need to develop the curriculum, we need historians, educators to help us to do that. There's just so many things that we want to do. We want to, I was mentioning to Ron Mo just the other day, many of our churches have and do their announcements by video. If we could, for example, with our black businesses, because many of us want to support our black businesses, but because it's not constantly before us, through repeating and reviewing. That's why advertisers spend millions of dollars. They know if they repeat and review, you'll end up buying something you didn't intend to buy. So that if we could have announcements sponsored by our businesses and then develop a plan, something we did here at the temple some years ago with a dentist. We developed a special discount. When members got a card and they went to that dentist, they got a discount. We can do the same thing with our black businesses, keep them before us so that we support them. We want to support our black print media so that we can tell our story, our way, the Final Call, the Washington Informer, the Afro. We want to do that. So in answer to your question, every kind of way that we can educate our young people and get them involved. We want them to participate at every level of this. One of the things that we have mentioned, how do you organize and put on something as great and as big as the Million Man March and the UniFest? Those of us who are still alive, we need apprentices to sit with us and to be a part of the whole organizational process so that they in turn will know how to do it. And put it all together. So these are some of the ways, and not limited to that. As Denise said, this is why it's so important that everybody gets involved. We need your ideas, we need your work to make it happen so that this is an ongoing work. It didn't happen overnight. I said in my opening remarks, we're looking at the result of 50 years of devastation of our community that was planned and orchestrated. And we have to take the steps to change that and turn it around.
Blessings and peace. My name is Ayo Handy Kendi. I'm the founder of Black Love Day, and I'm the founder of the African American Holiday Association. I'm a certified breathologist. I love to be on the committee. When are the committee meetings going to be held? Are they by Zoom? Are they going to be here at the church? Are they going to be at the masjid? How can people get involved in the committee?
The meetings are by Zoom every Monday night at 7 p.m. Once you sign up, and we do have a website that you can plug into where you can receive information. We're going to have a speakers bureau, but in short, the answer is every Monday night, 7 p.m. Even today, you can sign up with your information, and the Zoom link will be sent out to you. And we want, as Denise's father said on so many occasions, we want Lottie Dottie and everybody.
Good morning. How you doing, Reb?
I'm doing good, Roach.
Merry Christmas.
Happy
My
New
name
Year.
is Roach Brown, and we worked on the Million Man March with returning citizens last 30 years ago. Ward 7 and 8 make up the majority of the 5,000 men and women who are incarcerated in the borough prison from Washington, D.C. We lock up more people in this city than anywhere else in the world, not just in the country, in the world, in Washington, D.C. And they're talking about increasing the punishment and the penalties. I like to suggest that we connect with those men and women, 5,000 across the country, who are in prison, who can get access to the Zoom and video visit to participate and let them know that we haven't forgot them, because they got to return back in. And a lot of them would like to participate. So I like to suggest that we reach out to that more than 5,000 men and women from Ward 7 and 8 incarcerated in the borough of prisons, that we include them in this Million Man March reunion. Thank you.
Great idea.
I think he's the head of that committee, Reverend Wilson.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's on that committee.
Your idea, your work. I think it would be great. Any other questions? Okay.
Great. Brothers and sisters, I want to thank all of you. I want to recognize Sister Claudette Muhammad, who's here today, who did an awful lot of work in the Million Man March in 1995, and more importantly than that, was a great liaison between the Nation of Islam and many of our institutions, our political politicians, congresspersons in the media, and everybody else. And we certainly want to acknowledge her presence here today. Would you give her a hand, please? I think we have said what we need to say. You have a kind of a flyer that gives you some of the information of all of the activities that are being taking place. Please join in on Monday nights at 7. We are on a fast track here. We got a lot of work to do in a short time, but it's really coming together. Talked to the general manager of WPFW this morning. They are on board 100%, all the support they can give. I talked to Kathy Hughes a couple of days ago. It just so happens that their 44th radio anniversary is the same month of October, but she's looking at it to see if her team can move both of these activities at the same time. So we're up and going, we're moving, we're getting it done, and with your cooperation and support, we're going to make this, we're going to wake up Washington, D.C. with this, people. We're going to wake it up. And not only wake it up, but we're going to organize and pull ourselves together so that we can together pull up our community and make us strong. We still 47% of the population in the district, and in a unified way, we can make a whole lot of noise and a whole lot of difference. And that's what we want to do. So I thank you for your participation. Again, thank the media for being here today. I thank Channel 4, Channel 9. Thank you very much. And we're going to close this out with a word of prayer.
Before that, Reverend Wilson, I just want to say that Sister Brenda's setting up a list for those who want to sign up for the Monday call. You can see her. I think she'll be out in the vestibule there.
Great. Thank you.
There was something else, but I forgot it.
Is that it? All right. Can we just stand together in a word of prayer? I'm going to pray a prayer that is the prayer that's going to be prayed on the 22nd, on the 29th, on the 6th of October, and on the 13th of October at 7 o'clock in the morning. You see that call-in number on this flyer? That's the number that you will call, we can accommodate 1,000 people on that prayer line, and we want it to be jammed with 1,000 people each of those days. But what are we praying for? We're praying for atonement. We're praying for reconciliation. We're praying for collective responsibility, and we're praying for reconciliation, being reconciled one with the other. There is a scripture that we have recited at the temple every Sunday since 1973. Now I beseech you, brothers and sisters, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that you all speak the same thing, and that there be no division among you, but that you be perfectly joined together in the same mind, in the same spirit, and in the same judgment. God, we thank you for this coming together today. And might we be lit with a fire and a determination to press forward and make this a day of resurrection among our people and in our community, among our families, both individually and collectively as a people, is our prayer we pray. Let everybody say amen. God bless. Peace. Everybody, make sure you get one of these flyers. It has the basic information as what's going to happen during